Listen carefully, because the next wheat penny you see in a jar or a drawer could be worth more than you ever imagined. Most people toss them aside, thinking they are just old pennies. But one tiny minting error, one flawless red surface, or a rare detail could turn a single wheat penny into thousands. And in the rarest, most perfect cases, even life-changing numbers. Don't blink, because you might already be holding it. Coin number 1. We are diving into a small copper coin that most people ignore, yet some collectors chase like treasure: the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny 1954 D mint mark. A coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and yet in the right condition has shocked the market with prices reaching into the millions, yes, millions. And the craziest part is someone might still have one sitting in a jar right now. Before you scroll away thinking it is just another penny, stay with me, because in the next few minutes you are going to see what makes the 1954D special, how a tiny letter under the date can change everything, which rare errors can multiply its value, and why collectors have paid life-changing money for the best examples. And at the end, I will tell you the real market numbers that separate hype from reality. Take a close look at the coin on screen. Zoom in slowly on the front. You see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The words "In God We Trust" across the top, Liberty on the left, and the date 1954 with a small D mint mark just below it. That D stands for the Denver Mint, and that single letter is the difference between common and collectible. Now flip the coin. Show the reverse in a tight macro shot. You see the two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This is why collectors call it the wheat penny. And this design ran from 1909 to 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial. Reverse. Now here is where it gets interesting. In 1954, the Denver Mint struck over 250 million of these pennies. That sounds like a lot. And it is, which means most 1954D pennies are worth only a small premium over face value. But condition is everything in coin collecting. Show a side-by-side visual of a worn coin versus a blazing red uncirculated coin. The worn one might buy you almost nothing, but a pristine red example graded mint state 67 by a top grading service can jump dramatically in value, and the rarest high-grade pieces have crossed into jaw-dropping territory. But wait, because the real thrill is in the errors, and this is where collectors lean in closer. Some 1954 D wheat pennies show re-punched mint marks, where the D appears slightly doubled because it was punched more than once into the die. Zoom in tight on the mint mark area, so viewers can see what to look for. Other coins show die cracks, off-center strikes, or subtle doubling in the lettering, and when those errors combine with high-grade condition, the value can skyrocket beyond what most people would ever expect from a 1-cent coin. Imagine a kid in 1954 buying a soda with this penny, never thinking twice about it. And fast forward decades later, that same coin, if perfectly preserved in original red luster, could sell for thousands. And in the most elite condition levels, the conversation moves towards six figures, and headlines about million-dollar pennies start circulating, because the very best of the best examples, the absolute top population pieces, can push into million-dollar territory when bidding wars ignite among serious collectors. Now let me ground this with reality, so you know the difference between hype and fact. Most circulated 1954 D wheat pennies are worth between 3 and 20 cents depending on condition. Uncirculated red examples often sell between $20 and a few $100s, and the highest graded known examples have sold at auction for tens of thousands of dollars. Not every coin is a jackpot, but the possibility is what fuels the hunt, and that is what keeps collectors searching through rolls and old collections even today. So here is the big question. Do you own a 1954 D wheat penny? Have you ever checked the mint mark closely under a magnifying glass? And if you found one in brilliant red condition, would you send it for grading? Or would you keep it as a family treasure? Tell me in the comments which coin you would love to add to your collection, and whether you believe a penny can truly be worth millions in the right circumstances. The United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny 1954 D mint mark proves something powerful. Value is not always about size or metal. It is about rarity, condition, demand, and the story behind the coin. A simple 1-cent piece can carry history, mystery, and in rare cases, serious money. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's classic coins, like the video, subscribe for more rare coin stories. And keep watching because your next penny might not be just a penny at all. Coin number 2. We are talking about a penny that looks so normal, most people would toss it into a jar without a second thought. But what if I told you that a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark has triggered bidding wars, shocked collectors, and in extreme cases pushed values into the kind of numbers people only associate with rare gold coins, not a 1-cent piece? And yes, some headlines even throw around the word millions when the finest examples hit the spotlight. You are about to see why this no mint mark penny matters, what that missing letter actually means, how to spot rare doubling and error varieties that can explode its value, and why condition can turn pocket change into serious collector money. And at the end, I will break down the real market prices so you know exactly what is hype and what is fact. First, get a tight close-up of the coin on screen. Zoom slowly into the date 1941. Now look just below the date where you might expect a small D or S, and you see nothing. No mint mark at all. That is because this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and during that time Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on pennies. Flip the coin to the reverse, and show the classic wheat ears design framing 1 cent and United States of America. This iconic wheat penny design ran from 1909 to 1958 before it changed, and millions were made. But do not let that number fool you. In 1941, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 887 million Lincoln wheat pennies. That sounds massive. And it is, which means most 1941 no mint mark pennies are common in circulated condition. But here is where collectors get serious. Survival in high grade is a completely different story. Show a worn brown example next to a blazing red uncirculated coin under bright light. The brown coin may be worth only a few cents above face value, but a full red mint state example with sharp details and nowhere can jump into the hundreds or even thousands depending on grade. Now let us talk about the real excitement, errors, and varieties. Some 1941 no mint mark pennies show doubling on the date or lettering, especially strong doubling that can be seen without heavy magnification. Zoom in on the word Liberty and the numbers in the date. Look for shadow-like outlines or thickened letters. There are also off-center strikes and dramatic die cracks that make each coin unique. And when collectors find a high-grade coin combined with a visible error, the value can rise fast, sometimes far beyond what anyone expects from a simple copper cent. Picture this. It is 1941. The world is on the edge of global conflict. America is months away from entering World War II, and these pennies are flowing through grocery stores, movie theaters, and bus stations. No one is thinking about preserving them. No one is putting them in plastic holders. They are spending them, dropping them, losing them, which is exactly why pristine examples today are so hard to find, and rarity in top condition is what drives serious money in auctions. Now here is where the million-dollar talk comes in. Let us be honest and clear. The average circulated 1941 no mint mark penny is typically worth between 3 cents and maybe 50 cents, depending on condition. A nice uncirculated red example can sell for $50 to several $100s. And the very finest graded examples known have reached into the tens of thousands of dollars at major auctions. Not every coin is worth a fortune, but in ultra-rare top population grades with strong eye appeal, collectors have paid amounts that make headlines and spark those million-dollar rumors. So the real question is simple. Do you have a jar of old pennies at home? Have you ever checked for a 1941 without a mint mark? And if you found one in bright red condition with sharp details, would you know what you were holding? Tell me in the comments if you own this coin, and which wheat penny year you dream of adding to your collection. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark proves that even the most ordinary-looking coin can carry history, mystery, and surprising value. It is not just about age. It is about condition, errors, and collector demand. Coin number 3. We are exposing a penny that most people think is common, cheap, and everywhere. Yet the 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny has shocked collectors with error coins selling for life-changing money. And in extreme top-grade situations, the conversation has climbed into numbers that sound absolutely unreal for a 1-cent coin. Yes, we are talking about values that make people whisper about millions. Do not scroll away, because in the next few minutes you are going to see why the small d under the 1957 date matters, how one famous error turned this year into a legend, what to look for with your own eyes, And at the end, I will break down the real-world market prices so you know exactly when this penny is pocket change and when it is serious collector gold. Get a close-up of the coin on screen. Zoom slowly into Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front. You see "In God We Trust" across the top, Liberty to the left, and the date 1957 with a bold D mint mark just below it. That details you. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now flip it over and show the reverse in sharp detail. The two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. This classic wheat design was used from 1909 to 1958, and 1957 was one of its final years before the design changed forever. Now here is the twist. The Denver Mint struck over 1 billion of these 1957 D pennies, which means in worn condition they are extremely common. You can still find them in old jars and coin rolls. Show a handful spilling onto a table for dramatic effect. But do not let the mintage fool you, because when you move into high-grade, uncirculated red examples, the numbers thin out fast, and when you add the right error into the mix, the value can explode. Let us talk about the error that made headlines, the 1957 double die variety. Even though the most famous double die is from Philadelphia, without a mint mark, Denver coins can still show strong repunched mint marks, die cracks, and minor doubling. Zoom tight on the date and the mint mark area. Show viewers how to look for extra thickness in numbers or a shadow effect around letters, because spotting one small detail can change everything, and collectors pay serious money for visible doubling that stands out clearly. Imagine someone in 1957 buying candy with this penny, not realizing that decades later collectors would examine the date under magnification searching for tiny differences. Most coins were used, scratched, dulled, but a few were saved in rolls, untouched, blazing red with full mint luster. And those are the coins that dominate auctions today, because condition is king in the coin world. Now let us get real about value, so there is no confusion. A circulated 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny is usually worth between 3 and 15 cents depending on where. An uncirculated red example can sell from $20 up to a few $100s based on grade, and the highest graded specimens known have reached into the thousands at auction, while dramatic error coins with strong doubling or rare die features can push even higher. Headlines may scream about million-dollar pennies, but only the absolute rarest top population error coins across the wheat series ever approach that territory, and most 1957 D coins trade far below that level. Here is what matters most. Do you have a 1957 D penny sitting somewhere at home? Have you checked the mint mark closely? Have you looked at the date under bright light? Tell me in the comments if you own one. And if you found a bright red uncirculated roll, would you sell it or hold it for the future? And which Lincoln wheat year is your dream coin to add to your collection? The 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny proves something powerful. Even a coin made by the billions can become special when condition, preservation, and errors align. It carries history from the final chapter of the wheat design era. It teaches us that small details create big value, and it reminds us that treasure hunting does not always require gold or silver. Sometimes it starts with a simple copper cent. Coin number 4. We are uncovering a penny from the middle of World War II that most people would never look at twice. Yet the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark has shocked collectors, with rare varieties selling for jaw-dropping money. And in extreme cases, certain pieces from this year have crossed into price levels that make people talk about hundreds of thousands and even over $1 million for the right coin. Stay with me, because I am going to show you why the missing mint mark actually tells a powerful story, how 1942 became one of the most important transition years in American coin history, which rare errors from this date can change everything. And at the end, I will break down the real market value, so you know when this penny is ordinary and when it is extraordinary. Get a tight close-up of the coin on screen, slowly zoom into the front. You see Abraham Lincoln facing right. "In God We Trust" across the top, Liberty on the left, and the date 1942 with no mint mark below it. That blank space means this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and at that time Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on cents. Now flip the coin and show the reverse. The two wheat stalks frame 1 cent and United States of America. This wheat design had been running since 1909 and was nearing its final years, but 1942 was different for a reason most people do not realize. In 1942, the United States was fully involved in World War II. Copper was critical for ammunition and military equipment, and later in 1943, the mint would switch to steel cents to save copper. That makes 1942 one of the last full years of traditional bronze composition before the famous steel penny appeared. Show a quick side-by-side visual of a brown 1942 penny next to a 1943 steel cent for impact. That historical context alone makes 1942 special to collectors. Now let us talk numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 657 million 1942 pennies, which means in circulated condition they are common. You can still find them in old collections. But here is where it gets serious. Condition and variety are everything. A heavily worn example might be worth just a few cents over face value, but a blazing red uncirculated coin with sharp detail and full luster can jump into the hundreds or thousands depending on grade. And the highest graded examples known have reached into five-figure territory at major auctions. But here is the part that makes collectors lean forward. 1942 has important doubled die varieties, especially strong doubling visible in the date and lettering. Zoom closely on the numbers 1942 and the word Liberty. If you see clear separation or thick shadow like doubling, you might be holding something far more valuable than an ordinary cent. There are also off-metal errors and transitional pieces that create huge excitement, because in rare cases 1942 dated cents have been discovered struck on the wrong planchet. And those are the coins that push into six figures and fuel the million-dollar conversations. Imagine someone in 1942 using this penny to buy a newspaper reporting on the war. No thought about saving it, no protective holder, just everyday life. Fast forward more than 80 years and collectors are studying the smallest details under magnification, searching for pristine red surfaces and dramatic doubling. Because rarity today is not about how many were made. It is about how many survived in exceptional condition. Now let us be clear about real market value. Most circulated 1942 no mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies sell for between 3 cents and 50 cents depending on where. Uncirculated red examples often range from $40 to several $100s. The finest graded examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and rare major error pieces from this year have crossed into the six-figure range at auction. Not every coin is a fortune, but the right combination of condition and rarity can create life-changing numbers. So, let me ask you, have you ever checked your 1942 pennies closely? Do you own one without a mint mark? And if you found strong doubling on the date, would you recognize it? Tell me in the comments what is the most valuable wheat penny you have ever found, and which year you are still hunting for in your collection. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark is more than just a coin. It is a piece of wartime history, a reminder of a turning point in American minting, and proof that even the smallest denomination can carry serious value when rarity and condition align. Number 5, and last expensive coin. We are looking at a penny most people would walk past without blinking. Yet the 1950D Lincoln wheat penny has surprised collectors with auction prices that sound impossible for a 1-cent coin. And in extreme top grade cases, the conversation has climbed so high that people start throwing around numbers in the hundreds of thousands and whispering about million-dollar potential for the absolute finest known examples. Do not underestimate this coin, because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you why the small d under the date matters more than you think, how condition can multiply value fast, which hidden errors can send collectors into bidding wars, and at the end I will give you the real market prices so you know exactly when this penny is common and when it becomes seriously valuable. Start with a close-up shot of the front of the coin. Slowly zoom into Abraham Lincoln's profile. You see "In God We Trust" across the top, Liberty to the left, and the date 1950 with a clear D mint mark below it. That D tells you this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now flip it over and show the reverse with strong lighting. The wheat ears frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. This classic design had been in use since 1909 and was nearing the end of its run in the late 1950s, which already gives this coin historical weight. Now here is the reality check. The Denver Mint struck over 334 million 1950D wheat pennies, which means in circulated condition they are not rare at all. You can still find them in old jars and inherited collections. Show a handful of mixed wheat cents spilling across a table for effect. But here is where collectors separate average from exceptional. because high-grade red examples with full original luster are far scarcer than the mintage suggests. Condition is everything. A worn brown 1950D might be worth only a few cents above face value, but a bright red, uncirculated coin graded at the very top of the scale can bring thousands of dollars at auction. Show a side-by-side visual of a dull brown coin and a blazing red mint state example under magnification. The difference in eye appeal is dramatic, and collectors pay heavily for that difference. Now let us talk about the hidden excitement. Error varieties. Some 1950D pennies show repunched mint marks where the D appears slightly doubled. Others display die cracks or subtle doubling in the lettering. Zoom in tightly on the mint mark and the date so viewers know exactly where to look, because spotting a small shift in the D or extra thickness in the numbers can turn an ordinary coin into a premium piece, and error collectors actively hunt for these details. Think about the era. 1950 America was stepping into a new decade. Post-war optimism, booming industry, families saving change in glass jars on kitchen counters. No one imagined that decades later collectors would study these pennies under powerful lights searching for flawless surfaces. And that is exactly why pristine examples are tough to find today. Most were spent, scratched, or cleaned, and cleaning alone can destroy serious value instantly. Now let us ground this with real numbers so you do not get misled by hype. Most circulated 1950D Lincoln wheat pennies sell for between 3 cents and 25 cents depending on where. Uncirculated red examples often range from $20 to several $100s based on grade, the finest certified. Examples have reached into the several $1,000 range at major auctions, and while million-dollar headlines grab attention, only the rarest top population coins across the entire wheat penny series ever approach that level, not the average 1950D you find in pocket change. So here's my question for you. Do you have a 1950D wheat penny in your collection? Have you ever checked the mint mark closely under magnification? And if you found one in blazing red condition, would you sell it or hold it as a long-term investment? Tell me in the comments which Lincoln wheat year you believe has the biggest hidden potential. The 1950D Lincoln wheat penny proves a powerful lesson. Mintage numbers do not tell the whole story. Survival in top condition, strong eye appeal, and rare mint errors are what create serious value. This small copper coin carries history, nostalgia, and the thrill of the hunt. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into a penny that might be hiding in plain sight, like this video, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and keep watching because the next coin we reveal could completely change the way you see every cent in your pocket.